The hippodrome pulses like a living beast, its stone walls trembling under the weight of 50,000 screams. You stand in the stands, crushed between sweating bodies, the air thick with dust and anticipation. Hooves thunder below, a chariot's wheels screeching as they carve ruts in the sand. The crowd's roar hits you like a wave, drowning your thoughts, red, white, blue, green, each faction's colours flashing in tunics and banners, like a kaleidoscope of rage. A green supporter beside you howls, his spit flecking your cheek, clutching a scarf like it's his soul. Constantinople, 532 CE, doesn't sleep during races. It convulses. The chariots whip past, horses snorting, their flanks gleaming with sweat. You smell it, manure, leather, and the sour tang of unwashed flesh packed too close. A blue fan shoves through, elbowing you aside, his eyes wild with something beyond sport. This isn't a game. It's a war dressed in silk. The factions aren't just cheering, they're chanting death. "Victory or ash!" a red screams, and you wonder if he means his team or the city. The hippodrome, this sprawling oval of stone, isn't just an arena. It's a cauldron where loyalty boils into bloodlust. Imagine a Super Bowl where the losers burn the stadium, and half the town with it. That's the vibe. You squint through this haze, catching the charioteer's whip crack, a sound sharp as a snapped bone. The crowd believes gods pick the winner. Some swear they hear divine whispers in the horse's gallop, a cosmic bet placed on dusty hooves. A woman near you mutters prayers to a horse named Porphyrius, her fingers knotted around a charm. Superstition clings here like damp rot. The races stretch hours, sometimes days, and the city holds its breath. Streets empty but for stray dogs and the echo of distant cheers. You feel it too, the pull of the mob, the urge to scream for a colour you don't even care about. It's infectious, this madness, like a plague you catch through the ears. A fight breaks out 2 rows down. A blue punches a green, blood spraying like cheap wine. The crowd cheers louder for the brawl than the race. You dodge a flung cup, its wine staining your tunic, and realise this is normal. The hippodrome doesn't just host races, it births chaos. By dusk, the sand below is flecked with more than dirt, spit, blood, broken teeth. You're not a spectator, you're a survivor. The air grows heavier, smoke curling from somewhere beyond the walls. Constantinople is burning again, isn't it? The factions don't care. They'll die for their colours, and they'll take you with them. Like, share, tell us your creepiest race day tale, because this one's just getting started. In Constantinople, colours aren't just hues, they're battle lines. You're in the market, 6th century dust clogging your throat, and you see them. Red, white, blue, green, each faction marked by tunics and sashes, strutting like medieval gangs with better branding. The blues swagger past, their cloaks dyed deep as dusk, sneering at a green vendor, who dares wear his colour openly. By 532C, these factions, born from chariot racing teams, split the city's soul. Pick a colour, pick a side, and pray you don't meet the wrong one in an alley. It's like choosing a team in a game where the stakes are your skull. The reds and whites, smaller factions, still draw blood, but blues and greens dominate. They're not just fans, they're armies. You hear a blue chant rise, a rhythmic snarl that feels like a blade at your back. The Greens answer, their song a guttural vow of vengeance. These aren't cheers, they're war cries. Shops close early when factions clash, shutters slamming like teeth. A baker whispers that his brother, a red, was knifed for cheering too loud. Loyalty here isn't fandom, it's a death pact. Think of it as a TikTok feud, but instead of shade, you get shivs. The factions tie to politics, religion, even the emperor's whims. Blues back Justinian's orthodoxy, greens lean toward dissent, whispering of old gods or new rebellions. You pass a tavern where a green scrawls a curse on the wall, his ink mixed with spite. The city's pulse quickens. Fights spark over a glance, a colour, a wrong word, you sidestep a brawl, boots slipping in spilled wine, and hear a woman scream as her blue scarf is torn off. It's personal, this hate, passed down like a family curse. The hippodrome's races just light the fuse. You pause at a street corner, catching a priest muttering that the factions are the devil's work, dividing God's city. He's half right. Constantinople's tearing itself apart. The colours don't just mark teams, they mark power, faith, survival. A green youth spits at your feet, mistaking your plain cloak for neutrality, a sin worse than picking the wrong side. You're tempted to choose, to wrap a colour around you and belong, but every sash feels like a noose. The city's a powder keg, and the next race could spark it all. Share your take. Would you pick a colour or run? Constantinople, January 532 CE, and the Hippodrome's cheers twist into screams. You're caught in the crowd as the Nika Riots erupt. Blues and greens, once bitter rivals, uniting in a fury that smells of ash and blood. The air chokes with smoke, thick as a butcher's fog, as torches light up the stands. A green roars, "Nika! More!" victory, and the word spreads like plague, igniting the mob. You stumble, boots slipping on wine-slick stones, as a blue hurls a brick that grazes your shoulder. This isn't a race anymore, it's a slaughterhouse with no walls. Imagine a music festival where the mosh pit burns the city down. That's the Nika vibe. The emperor, Justinian, cowers in his palace, but you're here in the streets where the mob's pulse drowns out reason. Buildings crackle, flames licking wooden roofs like a dragon's tongue. You see a merchant, his red sash torn, trampled underfoot as Greens chant for a new emperor. The Hippodrome, that sacred oval, spills its chaos outward. Half the city's ablaze by dusk. Historical accounts say 30,000 will die before this ends, but right now it's just you, dodging a spear thrown by a blue with eyes like a zealot's. The factions don't care about you or Justinian or God, just their colours, their rage, their moment. You weave through alleys, the stench of burning straw and flesh stinging your nose. A woman clutches a green banner, screaming for her son lost in the melee. The mob's a beast, mindless, devouring its own. You hear the crack of a collapsing beam, see a child's sandal abandoned in the mud. Sardonic laugh for a second. Medieval Twitter would have cancelled this rite in an hour, but here it's a free-for-all. The factions, once split by theology and politics, now share one goal: tear it all down. You wonder if Justinian's watching from his golden perch, or if he's already fled. The Hippodrome's stands, now half empty, are a graveyard of broken benches and bloodied tunics. You glimpse a charioteer, his chariot smashed, crawling through the sand. The crowd doesn't cheer him now, they're too busy burning their own city. You cough, smoke clawing your throat, and realise this is what loyalty costs. Ashes where homes stood, screams where songs rang. The Nika Riots aren't just a riot. They're a mirror of human madness, dressed in blue and green. Like, Cher, tell us. Would you run or pick a colour and burn? In the Hippodrome's dust, you hear it. The whisper of gods in the horses' hooves. Constantinople, 6th century, and the crowd believes the divine picks the victor. You're pressed against a stone rail, the air heavy with sweat and incense, as a blue chariot surges forward. The horse, named Sol Invictus, snorts, its eyes wild, and a woman beside you swears it carries heaven's favour. Her hands clutch a charm, bone white, carved with a horse's head. Superstition here isn't a quirk, it's a pulse as real as the sand stinging your face. Think of it as a medieval Vegas bet, but the stakes are your soul. The Greens chant for their champion, a mare called Irene, said to gallop with the Virgin's blessing. You catch their hymn, eerie and rhythmic, like a prayer to a beast. Historical records note fans offered sacrifices, coins, bread, even blood, to curry divine favour for their team. You see a man toss a copper coin into the track, muttering for victory. The crowd's eyes gleam, not with joy, but with something darker. Faith in hooves over reason. A green youth claims he saw Irene's shadow move alone, a sign of godly wrath. You'd laugh, but the air feels heavy, like the gods might actually be watching. The chariots circle, wheels screaming, and you notice the silence between hoofbeats, as if the arena holds its breath. A red supporter whispers that the gods speak through the dust clouds, shaping omens in their swirls. You squint, half expecting a face in the haze, and feel a chill. The Byzantines didn't just watch races, they saw cosmic battles, each lap a divine verdict. A blue fan grips your arm, pointing to a horse stumbling, proof, he hisses, of demonic sabotage. It's absurd, yet you feel the crowd's belief, thick as the heat, pulling you in. By the race's end, Sol Invictus wins, and the blues scream like they've cheated death. You're pushed forward, nearly falling, as the crowd surges to touch the horse's sweat-soaked flank, a holy relic on hooves. The losers slink away, muttering of curses. The Hippodrome's sand, flecked with blood and offerings, feels alive, humming with misplaced faith. You wonder what's crazier, their belief in divine hooves, or yours in dodging the mob. Share your weirdest superstition. What's your chariot's charm? You're wedged in the hippodrome's stands, Constantinople, 532 CE, and the air vibrates with chants that cut like blades. The greens bellow a hymn, guttural and rhythmic, each syllable a vow to crush the blues. Irony rises, blues will fall, they roar, voices merging into a wall of sound that rattles your bones. You feel it in your chest, a pulse that's less art song, more war cry. The blues answer, their chant sharp as a whip crack, a palmas, promising blood for their horse's victory. This isn't fandom, it's a medieval playlist for carnage. Picture a stadium where the tailgate turns into a riot, and you're stuck in the middle. The chants aren't just noise, they're weapons. A green youth near you screams until his voice cracks, spitting curses at a blue across the aisle. The words aren't poetry, they're a venom, accusing rivals of heresy, treason, even demonic pacts. Historical records say these songs, passed down through generations, were rehearsed like battle drills, memorized in taverns and alleys. You catch a line about divine hooves smashing skulls, and it's chilling how the crowd sways, entranced, ready to kill for a tune. A woman's voice rises, shrill, calling for the emperor's head. You glance around, half expecting a knife in your back for standing too still. The air grows thick, dust and sweat mixing with the tang of spilled wine. You dodge a thrown apple, its core splattering on a green's tunic, sparking a fistfight. The chants don't stop, they swell, drowning the screams of the brawl. A blue chanter, face painted with indigo, climbs a bench, his voice booming like a prophet's. You're pulled into the rhythm, your lips twitching to join, though you don't know the words. It's infectious, this hate sung in harmony. Think of it as a viral TikTok sound, but instead of dance moves, it's fists and fire. The hippodrome's stone walls amplify the sound, a cauldron of noise that feels alive. You notice a child, barely 10, chanting with the greens, his tiny fists clenched. The crowd's a beast, and the chants are its heartbeat, pumping rage through Constantinople's veins. By dusk, the songs turn darker, promising vengeance beyond the arena. You hear a rumour, whispered between verses, that the Greens plan to storm the palace. The chants aren't just for show, they're a signal, a spark. You're trapped in their current, wondering if you'll drown. Share your wildest crowd story. What chant would you scream? In the palace, Justinian grips his throne, 532 CE. As Constantinople burns outside, you're not there. You're in the streets, where the Nika Riots rage. But you can imagine him, sweat beading under his purple robe, weighing throne against grave. The blues and greens, united in their Nika chant, want his head, their voices shaking the city like an earthquake. The hippodrome, a half-mile away, is a smouldering ruin, its sand soaked with blood. You duck through an alley, the air acrid with burning wood as rioters scream for a new emperor. Justinian's gamble, stay or flee, hangs over the city like a noose. It's like a CEO facing a hostile takeover, except the boardroom's on fire. Historical accounts say Justinian nearly fled, his ships ready at the harbour, gold packed in chests. Empress Theodora, fierce as a lioness, reportedly shamed him into staying. Purple makes a fine shroud. You hear her words whispered by a fleeing merchant, his blue sash torn. The mob's closer now, their torches painting the night red. You stumble over a broken cart, it has driver gone, and see a green looting a shop, laughing like it's a festival. The Emperor's name is a curse on every lip, spat between chants. You wonder if he hears it, locked in his marble cage. The palace gates rattle, and you glimpse soldiers, their spears glinting, unsure if they'll fight or join the mob. Justinian's rule, once iron, phrased like cheap cloth. The factions, once his pawns, now dictate his fate. You pass a burning church, its icons melting, and hear a priest wail that gods abandoned the city. Sardonic chuckle. Medieval politics makes reality TV look tame. The Emperor's gamble is a coin toss. Crush the riots or lose everything. You're just trying to survive, dodging a rioter's club, its wood slick with someone's blood. By dawn, word spreads. Justinian sending troops. You see them march, armour clanking, toward the hippodrome where the mob waits. The Emperor's betting on steel over chaos, but the streets don't care. You hide behind a barrel, heart pounding, as a green scream is cut short by a blade. The gamble's not just Justinian's, it's yours too, caught in a city that's eating itself. Like Cher, tell us, would you bet on the Emperor or the mob? The hippodrome lies quiet now. Constantinople, 532 CE. But the silence screams louder than the riots ever did. You stand in the arena's centre, the sand beneath your boots sticky with blood. Churned into a grim paste, the Nika Riots have burned out, leaving the air heavy with ash and the coppery stink of death. Bodies sprawl across the stands, blues, greens, reds, their colours dulled by dust and gore. You step over a hand, still clutching a tattered blue scarf, its owner's face crushed beyond knowing. The chariots are gone, but the wreckage remains, splintered wheels, a horse's hoof, a child's sandal half buried. This is no stadium, it's a grave, and you're walking its open wound. Picture a post-apocalypse tailgate, except the party ended in a massacre. Historical records say 30,000 had died, their blood soaking the hippodrome's sand until it clumped like wet clay. You see a green's body, his throat slashed, his eyes staring at a skyhawk that offered no mercy. A woman's wail cuts through the haze, searching for a son who will never answer. The stands, once roaring with chants, now cradle corpses, their tunics fluttering like flags of surrender. You kick a broken bench. It's wood charred from fires that ate half the city. The air tastes of soot, and your throat burns, medieval air freshener, courtesy of a mob's rage. The factions fought for colours, for pride, and left this, a slaughterhouse under the sun. You move toward the exit, boots crunching on shattered pottery and bone. A blue's arm, severed, lies near a spilled wine jug, as if the riot paused for a drink before killing him. The sand glitters with trinkets, coins, charms, a green's ring, offerings to gods who didn't show. You wonder if the crowd felt alive in their fury, or if they knew they were dancing with death. A rat skitters past, unbothered by the carnage. And you laugh darkly. Nature's cleanup crew doesn't care about your team. The hippodrome's dust settles, but it's heavy with ghosts. Each grain a story of loyalty gone lethal. You pause, catching a glint in the sand. A blue pendant, its horse emblem smeared red. The riots are over, but the cost lingers, carved into the city's bones. You're no hero, just a survivor, breathing air that smells like a crypt. Constantinople will rebuild, but this dust will always whisper of blood. Like, share. Tell us, would you dare walk this arena, or run from its ghosts? In Constantinople's streets, 532 CE, your tunic is your flag, and picking a colour might get you killed. You weave through the market, eyeing the faction's fashion. Blues in deep indigo cloaks, greens in emerald sashes, reds and whites flashing crimson and ivory like walking targets. The silk ripples, dyed with the pride of the hippodrome's factions, but it's more than style. It's a death sentence. A green glares at your plain cloak, spitting as if neutrality's a crime. You sidestep, heart pounding, knowing a wrong shade could spark a blade. Think of it as medieval streetwear, but the dress code's enforced with fists. The blues strut their tunics embroidered with horses and nod to their chariot champions. Greens prefer bold sashes, knotted tight, as if binding their rage. Historical records note faction clothing wasn't just flair. Byzantine dress signalled allegiance from senators to street vendors. You pass a tailor's stall, its bolts of blue cloth guarded like gold. A red woman adjusts her scarf, her eyes darting as if expecting a green to rip it off. Fashion here isn't vanity, it's armour. A declaration that says, I'm blue and I'll die for it. Imagine a gang tattoo you can't cover up. That's your tunic in Constantinople. You hear a shout. A blue youth's cloak is torn by a green, blood welling where a knife grazed his arm. The market erupts, colours clashing like a paint fight gone feral. You duck behind a cart, the air sharp with curses and the clink of coins spilling in the chaos. A white vendor, his tunic pristine, tries to mediate and gets a brick to the skull. Your plain cloak feels like a coward's choice, but it's keeping you alive. The faction's colours aren't just cloth, they're a language of hate, stitched with the promise of violence. By dusk, the street's quiet, but the colours linger, stained with wine and worse. You spot a green sash trampled in the mud, its owner gone, dead or fled. The faction's fashion is a trap, a way to mark friend from foe in a city that's forgotten peace. You wonder if you'd pick a colour, wrap yourself in silk and join the madness. Dress blue, die blue. Sounds like a medieval influencer's tagline. Like share, tell us, what colour would you wear knowing it's a target? Constantinople is a furnace, 5-2 CE, and you're choking in its heart. The Nika Riots have set the city ablaze. Flames corkscrewing at wooden roofs like starving beasts. You stumble through a street. the air so thick with smoke it's like breathing tar. The Hippodrome's chaos has spilled outward, and now half the city, churches, shops, homes, crackles under the mob's torches. A green's torch swings past, singeing your cloak, his eyes wild with a glee that's half rage, half madness. Buildings groan, collapsing into embers, and you hear screams swallowed by the roar of fire. This isn't a riot. It's a medieval Black Friday gone apocalyptic where the deal is death. You dodge a falling beam, its heat searing your skin, and see a blue rioter smash a shop's window, looting what's left before flames claim it. Historical records say the riots torched the Hagia Sophia's predecessor, its golden mosaics melting like wax. You glimpse a church's dome, glowing red, as if hell's opened a skylight. A woman runs past, her red sash aflame, shrieking for water that won't come. The streets are rivers of ash, littered with shattered pottery and bodies, some still twitching, others charred to bone. You cough, lungs burning, and wonder if Constantinople will be a memory by dawn. The mob doesn't stop. Greens and blues, united in their Nika chant, dance through the inferno, tossing torches like festival lanterns. You hear a child's cry, cut short, and spot a green looting a corpse's rings, his laughter sharp as broken glass. The city's pulses erratic, its heartbeat the crackle of flames. You hide behind a crumbling wall, the stone hot against your back, and see a priest praying in the street, his robes smouldering. Sardonic snort, this is what loyalty to colours buys. A city turned to ash. Imagine a viral live stream of a city burning and you're stuck in the frame. The wind shifts, carrying the stench of charred flesh and molten lead. You see the Hippodrome in the distance, its silhouette a ghost through the smoke. The riot started there with chariots and cheers, but now the city's the arena, and everyone's a loser. You step over a blues cloak, abandoned, its dye faded by ash. Constantinople's burning and you're just trying to breathe. Like Cher, tell us, would you run through the flames or join the mob's dance? In the Hippodrome's haze, Constantinople 532 CE, the horses aren't just beasts. They're gods on whom it behooves. You stand near the stables, the air thick with hay and musk, as a green groom whispers to a mare named Irene, stroking her flank like it's a holy relic. Her eyes gleam, wild and knowing, and the crowd beyond the walls chants her name like a hymn. Byzantines didn't just bet on horses, they worshipped them, believing their gallop carried divine will. A blue fan nearby clutches a charm engraved with Sol Invictus, swearing the horses' sweat heals the sick. It's like a medieval fandom, but instead of posters, they've got shrines. Historical records tell of horses like Porphyrius, a champion whose statues dotted Constantinople, his victories etched in stone. You see a green boy toss a coin at Irene's stall, muttering prayers for her next race. This stable's dim, lit by flickering oil lamps, and the air hums with eerie folklore, tales of horses outrunning demons or carrying souls to heaven. You catch a groom's whisper. Irene's shadow once moved alone, a sign of godly favour. You'd scoff, but the crowd's faith is heavy, pressing against you like the heat. Their devotion isn't sport, it's a cult, and the horses are its prophets. You step closer, hay crunching underfoot, and feel the mare's breath warm and steady. A blue woman, her cloak embroidered with stars, claims Sol Invictus spoke to her in a dream, promising victory. The crowd outside roars, their chants weaving through the stable's walls, calling for horses to save or damn them. You notice carvings on the stall, hooves, stars, prayers scratched by desperate hands. The Byzantines saw these beasts as more than flesh. They were omens. Their every step a cosmic signal. Imagine a race where the winner's picked by angels, and you're betting your soul. The race begins, hooves thundering beyond, and you feel the ground shake. A green elder swears Irene's gallop echoes God's voice, and you half believe him, caught in the spell. The horses aren't just heroes, they're the city's heartbeat, carrying hopes that'll soon burn in the Nika Riots' flames. You touch Irene's stall, wood worn smooth by prayers, and wonder if you'd kneel too. Like, share. Tell us, what horse would you pray to and why? You're swallowed by the crowd, Constantinople, 532 CE, as the Nika Riots turn the streets into a churning sea of rage. The mob surges around you, a beast of sweat and screams, blues and greens indistinguishable in their shared fury. You're pushed forward, boots slipping on blood-slick cobblestones, as a green roars, "Nika!" Victory or death. It's all the same now. The air's thick with ash and the sour stink of panic, and you feel it, the pull of the mob like a tide dragging you under. Reason's gone, left at the Hippodrome's gate, replaced by a pulse that's all instinct and hate. Picture a viral flash mob, except it's torching the city and you're trapped in the dance. The crowd's not individuals anymore, it's a single snarling thing. You see a blue, his face painted, smash a vendor's cart for no reason but momentum. A woman in a red scarf screams for her child, but the mob doesn't care, it devours its own. Historical records say the riots killed tens of thousands, driven by the sadness, a collective fever that turned neighbours into knives. You dodge a flung stone, its edge grazing your ear, and hear a green chant a curse against Justinian, his voice merging with 1,000 others. It's not about colours now, it's about destruction, pure and mindless, like a medieval algorithm gone rogue. You try to break free, but the mob's grip is iron, pulling you toward a burning street. A man, his white tunic torn, claws at your arm, begging you to join the Greens. He doesn't even know why. You see eyes glazed with thrill, not thought, as if the crowd's a drug and they're all hooked. A boy, barely 12, swings a club, his face lit with a joy that chills you. You laugh, bitter and sharp. Sanity's a bad bet in this casino of chaos. The Hippodrome's chants echo in the distance, a reminder of where this frenzy was born, and you wonder if you'll ever escape the mob's hunger. The ground shakes as a building collapses, its embers stinging your face. You're not a person here. You're driftwood in the storm. The mob's madness is a mirror. Humanity stripped to its rawest, ugliest core, chasing a thrill that leaves only ash. You hide in a doorway, heart hammering as the crowd surges past, screaming for blood, for colours, for nothing. Like Cher, tell us, would you fight the mob's pull or let it carry you away? The Hippodrome looms, Constantinople, 532 CE. Not just an arena, but a temple where gods and men collide. You stand at its edge, the stone walls pulsing with the ghosts of a million cheers, the sand below shimmering like a holy altar. The Byzantines didn't just race here, they worshipped, believing the Hippodrome's oval was God's stage, each chariot lap a divine verdict. You feel the air hum, heavy with incense and dust, as if the arena itself breathes. A green priest nearby mutters prayers, his hands tracing the air, claiming the track sanctified by heavenly hooves. It's like a cathedral crossed with a colosseum, and you're trespassing on sacred ground. Historical records describe the Hippodrome as the city's heart. Its race is a ritual where factions saw omens in every turn. You see a blue woman kneel, pressing her forehead to the stone, whispering thanks to a horse named Porphyrius. The stands, scarred by riots, feel alive, their cracks whispering of blood and glory. You catch a glint in the sand, coins, charms, even a bone, offerings tossed by fans who believe the arena channeled heaven. A red elder tells you the track's dust holds divine secrets, and you half believe him, the air thick with eerie weight. The Hippodrome's not just stone, it's a myth, a place where mortals bet their souls. You step onto the sand, its grit crunching like a prayer underfoot. A green banner flutters, caught in a beam, and you swear it moves without wind. The crowd's gone, but their faith lingers, carved into the arena's bones. A blue boy, his tunic frayed, points to a statue of a charioteer, claiming it weeps when the gods are angry. You'd laugh, but the silence is too heavy, the arena too vast. The Hippodrome's sanctity fueled the riots, turning worship into war. You feel watched, as if the gods, or their ghosts, are still judging. Like, share, tell us, what sacred place would you fear to tread? You're pressed into the Hippodrome's stands, Constantinople, 532 CE, the air electric with sweat and screams as chariots tear through the sand below. Your friend, a green, stands beside you, his emerald sash bright against the chaos, chanting for Irene's victory. The crowd's a sea of colours, blues, greens, reds, whites, each faction's roar a blade in the din. But something shifts. You catch his glance, furtive, darting to a blue across the aisle. His hand brushes his sash, and you see it, a hidden blue ribbon tucked beneath. Your stomach twists. Betrayal in the stands isn't just personal, it's a death sentence. Imagine a fandom where switching teams gets you shanked mid-cheer. The race thunders on, but the real battle's here, in the crowd. The green next to you spits at a blue, who retaliates with a fist, blood spraying like cheap wine. Your friend joins the chant, louder now, but his eyes flicker to the blue again, signalling something you can't read. Historical records note factions weren't just teams, they were oaths, and traitors were worse than enemies. You hear a shout, a green accuses another of selling out, and a knife flashes quick as a snake. The crowd surges, and you're shoved closer to your friend, his green sash now feeling like a lie. This isn't a game, it's a medieval DM where loyalty's a trap. You grip the rail, dust stinging your eyes as the chariots whip past. Your friend leans in, whispering, "Blues will win. Bet on it." His words are a blade, and you freeze, realizing he's playing both sides. A blue nearby grins, like he's in on it, and you wonder if you're next. The stands are a cauldron of suspicion. Friends turn foes over a glance, a whisper, a colour. You see a red woman scream as her brother, a green, is dragged away, accused of spying. The mob doesn't ask questions, it swings. Sardonic chuckle. Imagine a Reddit thread where betrayal ends in blood, not downvotes. The race ends, Green's victorious, but the stands erupt in chaos. Your friend's gone, his sash discarded, and you spot him slipping toward the Blues, a traitor cloaked in shadow. You're alone now, heart pounding, as a Green glares at you, mistaking your shock for guilt. The Hippodrome's not just an arena, it's a crucible where trust burns faster than the city. You dodge a thrown cup, its wine sour as betrayal, and run. Like Cher, tell us, would you trust your friend or turn him in? Constantinople's streets are a graveyard. 532 CE. The Nika Riots leaving scars deeper than the burned-out shells of homes. You kneel beside a body, a green, his sash soaked red, his sister weeping nearby. The Hippodrome's distant, but its poison, factional loyalty, has torn families apart. She clutches his hand, whispering his name, as if it could pull him back from the mob's wrath. You smell blood and ash, the air heavy with loss, and realize loyalty to a colour costs more than pride. It costs lives. Think of it as picking a team in a game where the loser's buried by dawn. Historical records say the riots shattered communities, with brothers turning on brothers over blues or greens. You see a blue father, his face bruised, dragging his son's body from an alley, cursing the green sash the boy wore. The factions weren't just teams, they were cults, demanding your soul. You pass a market, its stalls smashed, where a red woman mourns her husband, killed for cheering the wrong chariot. Her tears mix with the mud, and you hear her mutter, "He just loved green." Loyalty's a noose here, and every colour tightens it. Imagine a family group chat where picking the wrong emoji gets you exiled, or worse. You step over a broken blue banner, its horse emblem trampled, and hear a child sob from a doorway. His mother, a white, lies dead, caught in a brawl she didn't start. The riots don't care about innocence, they feed on devotion. You feel the weight of your own cloak, plain and safe, but it marks you a coward in a city where neutrality is a sin. A green looter kicks a corpse, laughing, and you wince. Loyalty's turned humans into beasts. Dark laugh. This is medieval reality TV, where the prize is survival and the cost is everyone you love. The city smoulders, and you wonder if the faction's colours are worth it. The sister's still there, clutching her brother's green sash, now a shroud. Loyalty built the Hippodrome's roar, but it buried families in its dust. You walk away, the weight of her grief heavier than the smoke. Like, share, tell us. What would you sacrifice for your team? Constantinople, 532 CE, and the air reeks of blood and steel as Justinian's revenge descends. You're crouched behind a shattered cart in the Hippodrome, heart hammering, as imperial soldiers flood the arena. Their armour clanks, a grim rhythm, swords drawn to crush the Nika Riots' last gasps. The mob, once a roaring beast of blues and greens, scatters like rats, but there's no escape. You see a green, his sash torn, cut down mid-scream, his blood pooling where cheers once echoed. Justinian's orders are clear, no mercy. The Hippodrome, sacred yesterday, is now a slaughterhouse. Picture a SWAT team storming a riot, but the body count's in the tens of thousands. Historical records say Justinian's troops killed 30,000, turning the arena into a charnel pit. You dodge a soldier's spear, its tip grazing your cloak, and stumble over a blues corpse, her eyes wide with shock. The air's thick with dust, and the iron tang of blood, screams cut short by steel. A red youth begs for mercy, his hands raised, but a sword splits his skull before he finishes. You hear Theodora's voice in your mind, her words, "Purple makes a fine shroud," stealing Justinian to this carnage. Sardonic smirk. Imagine a CEO liquidating a rebellion with a body count instead of pink slips. The soldiers move like a tide, methodical, hacking through greens and blues alike. You see a child, his white tunic splattered red, crawl under a bench, only to be dragged out and silenced. The hippodrome's sand drinks it all, turning black with gore. You choke on smoke, the city still burning from the mob's fires, now matched by the emperor's wrath. The green elder, clutching a broken banner, curses Justinian before a blade ends him. The mob thought they'd topple an empire. Instead, they're fodder for its vengeance. This isn't justice, it's a lesson carved in flesh. You slip into the shadows, boots slick with blood as the slaughter continues. The hippodrome's walls, once alive with chants, now echo with death rattles. Justinian's revenge isn't just about power. It's a warning to the colours, the city, the gods. You're just trying to survive, but the air feels heavier. Like the ghosts are watching. Like, share, tell us. Would you kneel to the emperor or die with the mob? The hippodrome stands silent. Constantinople, 532 CE. Its sand still dark from the Nika Riots' blood. You walk its empty stands, the air heavy with ash and memory, where blues and greens once sheen for glory. The faction's colours, vibrant banners of red, white, blues, green, lie tattered, trampled into the dust. Justinian's slaughter broke the mob's spine, and the faction's power fades like a fever dream. You pick up a blue scarf, its dye dulled, and feel the weight of a city exhausted by its own rage. The colours that lit fires now flicker, their zeal buried with the dead. Think of a fandom past its prime, its merch forgotten in the mud. Historical accounts note the riot's end marked a decline in factional influence. Justinian's iron grip clipped their wings. You see a green vendor in the market, his sash hidden, selling bread instead of chanting war cries. The streets, scarred by fire, are quiet, but the silence isn't peace, it's defeat. A red woman whispers of her brother, lost to a blues knife, her voice hollow. The faction songs, once battle hymns, are now tavern murmurs, sung by drunks who don't remember the words. You pass a burned-out shop, its walls scrawled with faded green curses, and laugh darkly. Medieval graffiti is all that's left of their rebellion. You pause at the hippodrome's edge where a lone blue banner flaps, caught on a broken rail. The city rebuilds, but the colours don't. Once, they were Constantinople's pulse, politics, faith, fury woven into silk. Now they're relics, like tweets from a deleted account. A boy kicks a white rag not knowing its cost, and you wonder if the faction's fire will ever reignite. The arena's empty, but its ghosts linger, whispering of loyalty's price. Justinian won, but the colours lost more than lives. They lost their soul. You drop the scarf, its weight too heavy, and walk away. The city's heartbeat slows, and you feel it. The faction's fade is a wound, not a healing. Constantinople will rise, but its colours dim, their madness a cautionary tale etched in ash. Like shell. Tell us, what fades faster, loyalty or blood? You stand in the hippodrome, Constantinople 532 CE, weeks after the Nika riots, and the silence is louder than the screams ever were. The arena's empty, its sand still flecked with blood, the air heavy with ash and something else, something that prickles your skin. You hear a faint chant, a ghost of blue and green voices echoing from nowhere. The stands, scarred by fire and swords, seem to watch you, their broken benches like teeth in a skull. A tattered green sash flutters, caught on a rail, moving without wind. The hippodrome's not just stone, it's haunted, a crypt for the mob's madness. Imagine a stadium where the crowd's gone, but their rage lingers like a bad TikTok echo. Historical records don't mention ghosts, but the Byzantines whispered of spirits in the arena, born from 30,000 dead. You step onto the sand, and it crunches, gritty with bone fragments and shattered charms. A blues coin stamped with a horse glints underfoot, and you swear you hear a hoofbeat, sharp and close. A woman passing by mutters that the dead chant at night, their voices cursing Justinian's name. You'd laugh, but the air's too heavy, like a storm's brewing in the stillness. The hippodrome was their temple, and you're trespassing on its ghost's turf. You move toward the spina, the central barrier where chariots once raced, and see a red scarf, half-buried, stained black. A chill runs through you. Folklore says the fallen return, their colours still burning in the dark. You hear a child's laugh, then nothing, and your heart skips. The arena's walls, etched with riot scars, seem to lean closer, whispering of betrayal, blood, and divine hooves. A green elder claimed he saw shadows race at midnight, chariots with no drivers. You don't believe it, but you feel watched, the sand shifting like it's alive. This isn't just a place, it's a wound that won't close. You turn to leave, boots kicking up dust that smells of ash and iron. The ghosts don't follow, or do they? The hippodrome's silence is a lie, hiding screams that never faded. You glance back, and the green sash is gone, as if claimed by the arena's hunger. Like, Cher, tell us, would you walk this haunted sand or run from its whispers? In Constantinople's palace, 532 CE, emperors play chess with human pawns, and the hippodrome's factions are their pieces. You're in a tavern, overhearing whispers of Justinian's schemes, the air sour with wine and fear. The blues and greens aren't just fans, they're tools, their colours woven into the empire's power games. Justinian backs the blues, his loyalists, while greens grumble of rebellion, their sashes a middle finger to the throne. You sip your drink, catching a green's glare, and realise you're in the board's crosshairs. This isn't sport, it's politics with chariots, a medieval West Wing where the votes are knives. Historical records show emperors like Justinian used factions to sway the mob, pitting blues against greens to keep the city divided and docile. You see a blue struck by, his cloak embroidered with imperial purple, a gift from the palace, no doubt. A green spits, muttering of rigged races, and you hear coins clink, bribes to sway a chant or spark a riot. The hippodrome's races were staged dramas, with emperors pulling strings from gilded boxes. You dodge a drunk red, his curses slurred, blaming Justinian for his brother's death in the riots. The emperor's game is simple, keep the colours fighting, not the throne. You slip into the street, where a blue banner hangs, tattered from the Nika Riots' chaos. A senator's voice drifts from a doorway, boasting of buying green loyalty for a bag of gold. You laugh bitter. Imagine a lobbyist rigging a Super Bowl to control a city. The factions think they're players, but they're puppets, their colours dancing to Justinian's tune. A green youth kicks a stone, his sash frayed, unaware he's a pawn in a game bigger than the hippodrome. The emperor's safe for now, but the streets simmer, ready to burn again. You pause, seeing a white vendor hide his sash, caught between sides. The political games don't end with the races. They are Constantinople's pulse, pumping suspicion through every alley. Justinian's throne rests on a knife's edge, and you're just trying not to get cut. Like Cher, tell us, would you play the emperor's game or cut the strings? You're swept into the hippodrome's mob, Constantinople, 532 CE. The Nika riots feeding a hunger that's raw and human. The crowd surges, a beast of sweat and screams, blues and greens united in a frenzy that smells of ash and blood. You're shoved forward, heart pounding as a green hurls a torch, its flames licking the stands like a lover's touch. The air's thick with dust and the thrill of chaos, and you feel it, the pull of the mob, a craving for spectacle that drowns out fear. Chariots are forgotten. The reel shows the violence, and you're caught in its grip. Imagine a Black Friday stampede, but the prize is destruction, not discounts. The mob's not chasing reason, it's chasing a high. You see a blue, face smeared with soot, laugh as he smashes a bench, his eyes alight with joy. A red woman screams for her team, then swings a club at a stranger, her rage a drug. Historical records say the riots fed on this hunger, turning 50,000 fans into a machine of carnage. You dodge a thrown jug, its wine splashing like blood, and hear a green chant, Nika Riots. Victory, but for what? The crowd doesn't know, it just wants more. More fire, more screams, more proof they're alive. You're pushed towards the arena's edge, boots slipping on sand slick with gore. A child clutching a white scarf cheers as a shot burns, his grin chilling. You laugh, sharp and bitter. This is humanity's TikTok gone viral with knives. The hippodrome's a stage and the mob's the star, addicted to the roar of its own chaos. You see a blue rip a green sash, both laughing like it's a game until a blade flashes. The hunger's infectious, and you feel your own pulse quicken, tempted to scream for a colour, any colour, just to belong. The city burns beyond, but here the crowd's alive, feeding on the sear, the spectacle like wolves on a carcass. You hide behind a pillar, the stone warm from nearby flames, and wonder if you join the dance or run. The mob's hunger isn't just for victory, it's for meaning, carved in blood and fire. You're not above it, You're human too. Like Cher, tell us, what spectacle would you chase, knowing it could kill you? Constantinople, 522 CE, rebuilds, but the Hippodrome's scars whisper of chaos that won't fade. You walk its silent stands, the sand below still dark from the Nika Riots' blood, the air heavy with ash and memory. The factions, blues, greens, reds, whites, are shadows now, their colours muted, their chants gone, yet the city remembers, its stones etched with the mob's madness, a legacy of loyalty turned lethal. You pick up a green fragment, frayed and faded, and feel the weight of 30,000 dead. The riots are over, but their myth lingers, a warning of what humans crave. Think of it as a Reddit thread that never dies, haunting every scroll. Historical records say the riots reshaped Constantinople, breaking the faction's power and cementing Justinian's rule. You pass a rebuilt shop, it is Zona hiding his blue sash, afraid of old ghosts. The Hippodrome, once a temples of divine hooves, is just stone now, its sacred aura buried with the bodies. A woman whispers of her son, lost to a green's knife, her voice a thread in the city's tapestry of grief. The chaos wasn't just violence, it was a mirror, showing humanity's hunger for spectacle, for belonging, for blood. You laugh darkly. Medieval chaos makes modern riots look like a schoolyard spat. You stand at the arena's centre, the silence thick, broken only by a distant dog's bark. The faction's colours, once bright as war flags, are dust, but their legacy clings like damp rot. You see a child kick a red rag, unaware of its cost, and wonder if the mob's madness sleeps in us all. Constantinople rises from ash, but the Hippodrome's story, chariots, chants, carnage, lives on, a cautionary tale of what happens when colours mean more than lives. You drop the green fragment, its weight too heavy, and walk away, the city's pulse echoing behind you. The legacy of chaos isn't just history, it's human nature, etched in every mob that screams for a cause. The Hippodrome's quiet, but its ghosts chant on, reminding you. Colours fade, but madness lingers. Like Cher, tell us, what chaos have you seen that won't let go? You step into a medieval bathhouse, London, 14th century, and the air hits like a set, steam, sweat, and something sour, like a stew left too long. The wooden tub before you, big as a cart, swirls with murky water shared by a dozen strangers. You dip a foot in, and it's warm, slimy, a broth of skin flakes and God knows what. Men and women laugh, gossip, their voices echoing off damp walls, but you see scum floating like a plague's calling card. Bathhouses are the medieval hot tub, but this party's a petri dish, brewing leprosy with every splash. Imagine a public pool where hygiene's just a rumour. Historical records say bathhouses were social hubs, packed with merchants, maids, even priests, all soaking in the same filth. You wince as a man scratches his sores, the water rippling with his grit. A woman pours in a bucket, swearing it's clean, but it smells like a ditch. You're elbow to elbow, their sweat mixing with yours, and you wonder how this counts as clean. The air's thick, candles flickering through the haze, and you gag on the stench, like a locker room crossed with a sewer. Sardonic chuckle. Medieval Yelp would give this spa 0 stars. You try to relax, but a rat skitters along the wall, eyeing the tub like it's dinner. The crowd doesn't care. They are here to scrub sin, not germs. You see a child splash, his grin wide, unaware he's bathing in disease. Superstitions whisper that too much washing invites demons, yet here you are, stewing with the masses. This isn't cleanliness, it's a gamble, a dip in a medieval germ soup. Like Cher, tell us, would you take the plunge or bolt for the door? You're in a monastery, Paris, 10th century, and the air smells like a grave's bad breath. A monk shuffles past, his robe stiff with grime, his stench a cloud that could knock out a horse. He hasn't bathed in months, not from neglect but devotion. Filth's his prayer, proof of purity. Medieval monks believed washing weakened the soul, letting demons slip through clean skin. You gag, eyes watering, as he chants psalms, his odora a holy weapon. Picture a saint who smells like a landfill and you're stuck in his pew. Historical texts say some monks, like the Desert Fathers, embrace dirt as divine, their Rika badge of faith. You see another, his beard matted, preaching that water's for sinners. His skin's grey, crusted with sweat. Yet he smiles, serene, as if God's sniffing along. The monastery's cold stone walls, amplifying the funk, and you wonder how they pray through the haze. A novice coughs, his eyes red from the stench, but he nods, accepting the sacrifice. Dark laugh. This is medieval mindfulness, where enlightenment smells like death. You step back, catching a whiff of your own unwashed cloak, and feel the irony. The monk's filth isn't laziness, it's a vow, a middle finger to worldly vanity. A candle flickers, casting shadows on their grimy faces, and you hear whispers of demons fearing their stink. Cleanliness is next to godlessness here, and you're the odd one out, itching to scrub like, "Share, tell us. Would you embrace the holy stench or sneak a bath?" You're in a noble's hall, London, 14th century, where the air's a battleground of scents, rosewater, musk, and the sour reek of unwashed flesh. A lady in silk glides past, her perfume so thick it stings your eyes, but it can't hide the truth. She hasn't bathed in weeks. Nobles drown in fragrance to mask the medieval funk. Sweat, open sewers, the whiff of last night's feast gone bad. You catch her smile, all charm as she fans herself, but the room smells like a floral grave. Think of it as medieval Febreze, sprayed over a landfill. Historical records note that nobles used costly perfumes, ambergris, lavender, to signal wealth while dodging baths, which were rare despite their bathhouses. You see a lord, his velvet doublet reeking of civet, dab his neck with a scented cloth. It's no use. The stench of his unwashed skin creeps through, like a secret nobody wants. Servants scurry, sprinkling herbs on the floor, but while the air's heavy, a mix of jasmine and rot. You stifle a cough and a sardonic grin escapes. Imagine a TikTok filter trying to hide a sewer's glow. A knight nearby, his chainmail gleaming, pours rose oil on his hands, swearing it keeps plague at bay. The irony hits. They're perfumed corpses, dancing in a hall where open latrines lurk nearby. You spot a lady's maid, her face pinched, carrying a vial of myrrh like it's holy water. The pretense is thick, cleanliness is a pose, not a practice. You're tempted to laugh, but the air's too cloying, and you're one whiff away from gagging, like, "Share, tell us. Would you douse yourself in perfume or face the stink?" You hesitate at the bathhouse door, Paris, 10th century, the steam inside whispering of danger. Medieval folklore warns that water's a gateway for demons, ready to slip through clean skin and snatch your soul. You hear the splash of bathers, their laughter echoing off damp walls. But a priest nearby hisses that washing invites the devil's gaze. The air's thick with mildew and fear, and you feel eyes, real or not, watching from the shadows. This isn't a bath, it's a gamble with hell. Picture a horror flick where the shower's haunted, and you're next. Historical texts say some believed frequent bathing angered God, opening doors to disease or demonic possession. You see a woman pause, her hand trembling over the water, muttering a prayer to ward off evil. The tub's murky, some swirling like a witch's brew, and you wonder if she's right to fear. A man scrubs his arm, then freezes, swearing he felt a claw beneath the surface. You'd scoff, but the air's heavy, the candlelight flickering like it's scared too. Superstition's a chain, binding the bathers to dread. You step back, the floor slick underfoot, and hear a child whisper that demons ride the steam waiting for the clean. The bathhouse hums with tension, every splash a dare. You catch a glimpse of your reflection in the water, distorted, and feel a chill. Maybe the demons are real. Bathing's a sin disguised as virtue, and you're caught in its trap. Like, "Share, tell us. Would you risk the water, or stay filthy and safe?" You're squeezed into a bathhouse, Paris, 15th century, the tub a steaming cauldron of chatter and grime. The water's murky, a soup of sweat and skin, but the crowd's alive. Merchants haggling, maids giggling, a knight boasting of his latest duel. You sink in, slime coating your legs, and try to ignore the scum bobbing like a bad omen. Bathhouses aren't just for washing, they're medieval coffee shops where gossip flows faster than the filth. You overhear a baker spill secrets about a lord's affair, his voice loud over the splash. Imagine a group chat in a hot tub, but the water's a health code nightmare. Historical records show bathhouses were social hubs, where deals were struck and rumours born amid the muck. You dodge a splash from a woman joking about her husband's debts, her laughter sharp as the stench. The air's thick with steam and rosewater, but it can't mask the rot. Someone's sores are oozing and you're sharing their broth. A minstrel strums a lute, singing of love, while you spot a rat eyeing the tub's edge. You laugh, sardonic. This is networking medieval style, where you bond over grime and pray you don't catch leprosy. You shift, water sloshing, and catch a priest's glare. He's here for the gossip, not the scrub. The bath's a stage, but the script's written in germs. You're part of the scene chatting to fit in, but the floating filth reminds you, cleanliness is a lie. Like, share, tell us. Would you join the soak or skip the social slime? You step into a London street, 13th century, and the stench hits like a fist. Raw sewage, flowing in open gutters, a river of human waste. You dodge a splash as a chamber pot's emptied from a window, the muck pooling where you just stood. Rats scurry, fat and fearless, while children play nearby, perfis barefoot in the filth. Medieval cities didn't have plumbing, streets were sewers, and you're wading through the proof. The air's heavy, a mix of rot and despair, and you gag, tasting the city's underbelly. Picture a dystopian Instagram filter, but it's just daily life. Historical records describe urban centres like London with open drains, breeding disease, while bathhouses promised false purity. You see a merchant, his fine cloak splattered, curse as he slips in the mire. A woman tosses slop into the street, her face numb to the stink, while flies swarm like a biblical plague. You hear a scream, a cart's wheel stuck in the sludge, its driver retching. The contrast burns, they're bathed in crowded tubs, then walk these streets, filth undoing every scrub. Dark laugh. This is medieval urban planning, where hygiene's a cruel joke. You weave through this muck, boots sinking as a pig roots in the gutter. The city's alive, but it's rotting, and you're part of its grim parade. Like, share. Tell us. Would you brave the sewer streets or stay inside and stink? You're back in the bathhouse, London, 14th century. The water a murky stew where disease festers. You sink into the tub, slime coating your skin, as a man coughs, his sores weeping into the shared broth. The air's thick with steam and dread, the chatter fading as you notice his rash, leprosy's calling card. Bathhouses, meant for cleanliness, are plague factories, spreading sickness faster than gossip. You see a woman scrub her arm, unaware she's bathing in death. This isn't a spa, it's a medieval biohazard, where hygiene's a one-way ticket to the grave. Historical records confirm bathhouses spread diseases like leprosy. Their communal tubs are breeding ground for bacteria. You catch a whiff of rot, masked by lavender, as a merchant scratches his leg, blood mixing with the scum. A child splashes, laughing, while flies buzz, drawn to the tub's grim soup. You shudder, knowing each dip risks your life. Leprosy, plague, or worse, all lurking in the water. Sardonic laugh. Imagine a wellness retreat where the hot tub's a death trap and you pay to jump in. You climb out, skin crawling, as a priest mutters that God punishes the clean. The irony stings. They bathe to live, but the tub's a killer. You glance back, seeing the crowd soak on, oblivious. Clean today, corpse tomorrow, that's the bathhouse's promise. Like and share, tell us, would you risk the tub or face the plague unwashed? You stand in a medieval street, Paris, 15th century, the paradox of cleanliness all around. The bathhouse behind you hums with laughter, its water a germ-ridden lie, while the gutter at your feet runs with sewage, rats darting through the muck. Medieval life chased purity but lived in filth, nobles perfumed, monks stank for God, and everyone feared demons in the water. You breathe the city's stench, a mix of rot and hope, and see a woman pray over a bucket, as if faith could clean what soap couldn't. This is humanity's dance, scrubbing for salvation, drowning in chaos. Historical texts show medieval people balanced hygiene with superstition, bathing in shared tubs while dodging open sewers. You see a monk, his robes crusty, preaching purity through filth, his stench a sermon. A noble passes, rosewater failing to mask his sweat, strutting past a beggar with sores. They all tried, baths, prayers, perfumes, but the plague laughed last. You chuckle bitter. Medieval hygiene was a Tinder profile with no matches, all promise, no delivery. You pause, the city's pulse beating through the grime. They scrubbed, prayed and hoped, driven by the same fear and defiance you feel now. Cleanliness was their fight. chaos their reality, and somehow they survived. You step over the sewer, its stinker reminder. Humanity's messy, but it endures. Like Cher, tell us, what chaos have you survived, clean or not?